Okay, let's unpack this. Think about your average day. Scrolling, swiping, tapping. Everywhere you look, there's a message. And not just any message advertisements. It's truly staggering. The average person today sees a mind-boggling 10,000 ads every single day. That's not a typo. Seriously, 10,000.
It's an almost unfathomable amount of noise, isn't it?
Mm.
And for you, listening right now, whether you're an entrepreneur launching something new, a small business owner trying to reach local folks, maybe a creator building your brand, or a service pro looking for clients, look, this isn't just some abstract statistic. This is your daily reality.
Yeah.
This is the battleground for attention, like an intensely crowded arena where everyone is vying for a slice.
Exactly. And in that kind of environment, it's simply not enough to just get seen. I mean, think about how many ads you just scroll past without even registering them. A second thought. Forget it. You need to get remembered. You need to cut through that relentless, almost overwhelming digital noise and actually leave a lasting impression, something that drives real action.
And that's precisely the core objective of this deep dive today. We're going to explore how you can craft digital ads that truly stand out from the crowd, ads that spark genuine emotion, and ultimately drive serious growth for your business. And importantly, do it all without, blowing your budget or just blending into that digital blur we all experience. We're talking about the key ingredients here. Strategic precision, yeah, but also undeniable creativity and that really crucial emotional pull. Think of this deep dive as your essential shortcut, maybe, to making every single one of your ads not just effective, but truly unforgettable. So let's start with the strategic foundation. This is really where clarity meets opportunity. The first crucial step, honestly, in making your ads unforgettable, and maybe more importantly effective, is knowing exactly where to show up. As Christian Crespo, our co-founder and chief brand strategist, often says, you don't need to be everywhere, you just need to show up where it counts.
Okay.
And that's not just a catchy phrase. It's a profound truth that, look, so many businesses overlook.
They end up wasting valuable resources, time, money, trying to plant their flag on every single digital platform out there. It's really about focused effort, not scattered energy.
That's a huge point because when you look at the sheer, almost unbelievable growth of social media and digital platforms, I mean, over the last decade and a half, it's just astronomical. I remember back in, 2008, only about 24% of Americans even had a social media profile. It felt like a niche thing then, something only early adopters were doing. But fast forward to today, and that number has absolutely exploded. It's over 81% of Americans now. That's a fundamental, a tectonic shift in how people consume information, connect, and frankly, how they live their lives. It's not niche anymore. It's the mainstream.
Absolutely. And in that rapidly evolving and frankly expanding landscape, two giants absolutely dominate the digital advertising space. Google and Meta, Meta of course includes Facebook and Instagram, together they command over 75% of all internet ad growth. So while the digital world seems limitless, with new apps and platforms popping up all the time, the vast majority of new ad spend, and crucially new ad attention, is flowing through these two ecosystems. This concentration of attention means that while you don't need to be everywhere, understanding these dominant players and why they dominate is critical. It's about being incredibly strategic about where your potential customers are spending their time, and maybe even more importantly, where they're receptive to your message. You're fishing where the fish are biting, basically.
Okay, so for someone just starting out, or maybe a small business owner with a really limited budget, this kind of data is pure gold, right? It immediately helps you avoid spreading yourself too thin, which, let's be honest, is a super common pitfall. So given that Google and Meta are such powerhouses, how do we strategically pick the right place for our specific business goals? What's the practical breakdown? Because where it counts can still feel a little bit abstract.
It truly comes down to matching your product or service with the inherent mindset and behavior of the users on each platform. It's really a psychological alignment. For instance, if you're selling professional services, maybe you're a consultant, a high-level coach, a B2B software provider, or perhaps a specialized legal firm, LinkedIn is often your ideal platform. Users there are typically in a very specific mindset.
Mm-hmm.
They're networking, seeking industry insights, maybe looking for their next career move. And most relevantly, they're often actively looking for solutions to business challenges. So an ad there isn't necessarily an interruption. It's potentially a valuable resource in their professional scroll. Your message about solving a business problem or offering a new insight, it fits perfectly into that professional context.
Okay, that makes sense for B2B.
Right. On the other hand, if you're running a local restaurant, maybe a charming boutique, or any business with a really defined geographic customer base, think a bakery, a salon, even a local hardware store. Facebook, especially with its hyper-targeted local ads, is probably your sweet spot. Facebook's strength lies in its ability to pinpoint users in specific neighborhoods, with certain interests that align with your business, or maybe who have already engaged with similar local businesses. You can reach people literally within a few miles of your storefront. That's incredibly powerful for driving foot traffic, promoting local events, or getting direct local sales. Users on Facebook are often connecting with friends and family, sure, but they're also quite open to discovering local businesses, events, and community stuff.
And then the visual platforms?
Exactly. Then you have Instagram and TikTok. These are the go-to platforms if you're selling creative products, experiences, or anything with a strong visual appeal. Think fashion brands, unique handmade art, immersive travel experiences, maybe even innovative food products. They are inherently visual-first discovery platforms. People go there to be inspired, right, to see beautiful things, find new trends, be entertained, or discover new aesthetics. Your ad on Instagram or TikTok needs to seamlessly blend into that visual stream. It has to captivate with aesthetics, striking visuals, and short, engaging content designed for quick consumption.
What's really fascinating here, and you've touched on this, is that it's not just about who is on the platform, but it's also about the mindset shift that happens when people open a particular app. It's almost psychological, isn't it? Why is understanding that subtle, almost subconscious difference in mindset so incredibly important for ad effectiveness? Because it feels like a nuance, but it sounds like it could be totally make or break.
Oh, it's absolutely critical because it dictates how your ad is perceived. And frankly, whether it's welcomed or immediately dismissed is irrelevant noise. Think about it. Someone scrolling LinkedIn is likely in work mode or professional networking mode.
Right.
They're open to business solutions, career advice, industry news. Now, if you hit them with a quirky, fast-paced TikTok-style ad using some viral dance trend to promote your B2B software, well, it just feels jarring. It's out of place, maybe even unprofessional. It's like, I don't know, showing up to a formal business meeting in a clown suit. It breaks the user's flow and their expectation of that platform.
Right. Completely breaks the context.
Exactly. And conversely, on TikTok, users are actively seeking entertainment, short-form content, trends. They're looking for something quick to make them laugh, inspire them visually, or teach them something fast. So a long, text-heavy ad or a stiff corporate video, no matter how informative it might be, will just get scrolled past immediately. Why? Because it doesn't fit the vibe of the platform. It doesn't respect why they're there in the first place. Aligning with the audience's mindset means your ad feels like a natural part of their experience, not some intrusive interruption. It's about respecting their time, their context, and their reason for being on that specific platform.
Yeah.
When you get this right, your ad feels less like an ad and more like relevant, maybe even welcome content.
Okay, that makes total sense. Respect the vibe.
Which brings us perfectly to our next strategic pillar. This really acts as the pulse of your entire campaign, knowing your audience deeply. Look, this isn't just a suggestion. It's the GPS for your campaign strategy, as Christian Crespo puts it. He also says, great ads don't talk at people. They meet them where they are. Without precise audience research, you're essentially driving blind, just hoping to stumble upon your customers in this vast digital desert. The more precisely you know your ideal buyer, the better your creative will perform. Period. It means every dollar you spend is working harder for you. Much harder.
So let's really break down that precision. We hear know your audience all the time, but what specific, actionable questions should we be asking ourselves to truly pinpoint our ideal customer? This sounds like it could be the difference between an ad that just poof, fizzles out and one that truly flies and connects with people.
Exactly. You need to get granular, almost like you're creating a detailed character profile for your ideal customer. Start with the basics, sure. Who's your ideal customer? What are the demographics, their age range, geographical location, maybe income bracket, occupation, family status. These are the observable facts.
So what and where?
Right. But then, you absolutely must go much deeper into their psychographics. And by that, we mean their psychological makeup, their inner world. What are their interests, their values, their hobbies? Crucially, what are their underlying pain points, their biggest challenges, their fears even? What are their aspirations? What keeps them up at night? And what dreams are they chasing during the day? Beyond that, think about their digital habits. What platforms do they use most frequently, and when do they use them? Are they doom scrolling Instagram late at night, or are they checking LinkedIn first thing in the morning with their coffee? The more specific your answers to these questions become, the more targeted and therefore more effective your campaigns will be. This level of detail lets you speak directly to their needs and desires, making your ad feel almost tailor-made for them, like you're reading their mind in a good way.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Because once you know who you're talking to and where they are hanging out online, The next big challenge is making sure your message feels authentic and right for that specific platform. It's one thing to know your audiences, say, on Instagram, but it's totally another to craft content that looks and feels like it belongs there, like it's almost indistinguishable from organic stuff. How do you make that messaging truly native to the feed, as you called it, without being deceptive, but just highly relevant?
Yeah, it's about respecting the unspoken social contract of each platform. It really is. For example, LinkedIn ad copy simply shouldn't sound like a TikTok hook. It just shouldn't. On LinkedIn, the expectation is professionalism, maybe a bit more formality, providing clear value inside solutions to business problems. Your ad copy there can be longer, more descriptive, focusing on tangible business benefits or thought leadership. It's a space for more deliberate consumption. A TikTok hook, on the other hand, it's all about the immediate grab, often leveraging humor, trending sounds, extreme brevity. You got literally seconds to hook someone, then maybe a visual punchline or a quick reveal. They are fundamentally different modes of communication. You can't just copy-paste.
Totally different worlds.
Totally. Similarly, a Facebook static ad, or maybe a video, often needs more context and descriptive text than a really snappy Instagram reel or story. A Facebook user might pause to read a compelling story or detailed offer, especially if it appears in their main feed, which is often consumed at a slightly slower pace. An Instagram Reel, though, it thrives on quick cuts, vibrant music, highly visual storytelling. You literally have milliseconds to make an impact before that thumb swipes up. Gone. So the nuances are critical. Think about the tone. Is it playful, authoritative, empathetic, instructional? The length, is it a paragraph or a punchline? And the visual style, should it be super polished and professional or more raw, authentic, maybe user-generated looking? It all has to feel natural to the platform. Otherwise, your ad just becomes an immediate red flag that gets scrolled right past. It's about being a bit of a chameleon in terms of presentation, blending in seamlessly while still standing out with your unique message.
Okay, so we've got the strategic foundation locked down. We know where to show up, who we're talking to on each platform, and even how to tailor our message so it feels right. But even with all that precision, the noise is still just. It's very, very real. I mean, did you know the average click-through rate for digital display ads is just 0.06%, 0.06. That's not a typo. To put that in perspective, like for every 1,000 times an ad is shown on a website or app, only 6 people actually click on it. Maybe. It's an astonishingly low number, and it truly underscores just how tough it is to capture attention, let alone hold it for more than a second.
Yeah, that 0.06% isn't just a number. It's a stark, almost painful reminder that if your ad simply informs, it's likely going to be ignored, completely lost. In this hypersaturated environment, your ad has got to do more than just convey information. It really does. It needs to entertain, or it needs to resonate on a deeper level. Maybe it needs to genuinely surprise the viewer, interrupt their pattern. This is where originality and emotional intelligence become your most powerful tools, your true competitive advantage. As Brian Jaglal, founder and managing partner, wisely notes, originality is your algorithm hack. If you make people feel, they'll remember you. You see, algorithms might decide who sees your content based on relevancy, signals, and engagement, sure, but it's human emotion that truly drives memorable engagement and long-term brand recall. It's the human element that algorithms are ultimately trying to measure and optimize for anyway.
So that's the big $1 million question then, isn't it? How do we actually make people feel something? That sounds, well, abstract, almost elusive sometimes.
Yeah.
Is it just about making them happy, or are there other emotions we should be aiming for? And maybe more importantly, how do we do that without sounding manipulative or, inauthentic, especially when we're competing with literally everything else on a user's feed? What are the practical ingredients for injecting that genuine emotional connection into our digital ads?
That's a critical distinction, yeah. It's not just about happiness. It's about evoking any strong, positive, or relatable emotion. It's really about stepping outside the conventional, the predictable. Forget the generic, perfectly posed stock photos we all see. Forget the dry corporate speak that, let's face it, everyone else is using. Instead, use humor. Catch people off guard, make them smile, maybe even laugh out loud. The real insight here is that a well-placed chuckle, it creates an open door where a hard sell just creates a wall of resistance. When someone laughs, they drop their guard, they become more receptive.
Makes sense. Laughter disarms.
Totally. Or inject authenticity. People connect with real stories, real people, genuine, unpolished experiences. Not overly polished, sterile perfection. Share the messy middle, the triumphs, the relatable struggles. Storytelling is incredibly powerful. Even a short ad can tell a mini narrative that draws someone in and actually makes them care. You can tap into nostalgia, reminding people of simpler times, or shared cultural touchstones, creating an instant bond of familiarity and comfort. Or highlight challenges your audience faces and how your product or service provides a genuine, empathetic solution. That makes them feel understood and seen. Even better, showcase customer success moments. I mean, nothing builds trust and connection like seeing someone else achieve what your audience aspires to. And here's a critical, almost brutal point: your first 3 seconds. They matter more than the last 30, way more. In a scroll-heavy world, if you don't hook them immediately, if you don't offer that little reversal of expectation that makes them pause and think, wait, what was that? They're gone. That's the real 3-second magic right there.
Wow, 3 seconds. That's intense pressure.
It is. But think back to the early 2010s. Remember those YouTube creators, Rhett and Link? They built a massive following by doing something truly different in the advertising space back then. They didn't just run ads, they parodied cheesy infomercials, turning traditional advertising tropes completely on their head. They often acted as pitchmen for small businesses, and their absurdly creative ads weren't just funny, they were incredibly effective. Small businesses that hired them, like a local law firm or some restaurant, suddenly went viral. Why? Because Rhett and Link understood the assignment. Be bold, be brief, and be memorable. They weren't afraid to be different, to use humor in a completely unique, often self-deprecating angle. And that made their sponsored content stand out in a sea of, well, sameness. They proved that if you entertain and surprise people, they'll not only watch your ad, but they might even share it. And most importantly, they'll remember the brand long after the laughter fades. That's the undeniable power of emotional connection and just pure originality.
Okay, so we've established that original, emotionally intelligent content is absolutely essential for breaking through the noise and creating that initial spark, that connection. We're getting people to stop scrolling and actually feel something. So, what's the next level? How do we truly grab and hold attention in a world that increasingly expects more than just, passive viewing? What's the secret sauce for making people truly lean in and participate?
The next level, and what's becoming, frankly, increasingly non-negotiable for anyone looking to truly stand out, is making your ads interactive. Today's digital audiences, especially those who've grown up with social media and smartphones, they don't just want to watch or read passively. They expect to engage. They're used to swiping, tapping, voting, playing, influencing what they see next. It's just how things work now. This isn't just a fleeting trend. It's a fundamental shift in user behavior, rooted in how modern digital experiences are designed. And the data. It supports it overwhelmingly. Interactive ads significantly outperform static formats. They boast click-through rates up to 6%. 6%. That's a massive leap compared to the 0.06% average we were just talking about for static display ads. This isn't just a marginal improvement, it's a potential game changer that can dramatically impact your campaign's performance.
Oh, 6%. That's huge compared to zero point zero 0.06. It's huge. So what does interactive actually mean in practice for, say, a small business? It means giving your audience something tangible to do, not just something to passively consume. Examples. Okay. Polls, where users can tap to vote on a preference or opinion. Engaging tap-to-vote stories that let them choose their own adventure or answer quick questions. Swipeable carousels that invite exploration of multiple product views or maybe a deeper dive into a story. And even playable experiences, like those mini games you often see in mobile app ads, letting users kind of try a product virtually. The key is to transform the viewer from just a passive observer into an active participant, making them an integral part of the ad experience itself.
What's fascinating here is, okay, it's not just about getting a higher click rate, right? I mean, while a 6% click-through rate is incredible compared to 0.6%, it feels like there's probably a deeper benefit there. What other, perhaps less obvious advantages come from inviting that interaction within your ad? What else do you gain beyond just that immediate click? That's an excellent point, and it really gets to the heart of long-term strategy and what truly drives sustained growth for a business. The benefits of interactive ads are kind of dual-layered and incredibly powerful. Yes, absolutely, you boost immediate engagement and click-through rates. That's fantastic for direct response, immediate sales. But maybe more profoundly, you also collect invaluable first-party feedback in the process. Real data. When someone participates in a poll or answers a question or makes a choice within your interactive ad, they are voluntarily providing you with rich, real-time data. Data about their preferences, their pain points, their opinions, even aspects of their demographic profile sometimes.
Ah, so it's like market research built right in.
Exactly. This isn't just vanity engagement. It's actionable market research happening live, right inside your advertising. For instance, if you run a poll asking what's your biggest challenge with X and say 70% of respondents pick option B, Well, you now have a clear direction for your next product feature or your next piece of content, or even just a refinement of your core messaging. This feedback can then directly inform your future product development, refine your marketing angles, maybe help you segment your audience even further for future campaigns, and ultimately make your subsequent advertising even more targeted and effective. It becomes this continuous, self-improving feedback loop that powers smarter, more responsive marketing. It turns your ads into a continuous learning mechanism for your business. Pretty powerful stuff. So pulling all of this together now, the very best digital ads, the ones that genuinely stick in your mind, they tend to embody three core qualities. They are sharp, they are sticky, and they are sincere. Sharp means concise, right? To the point. Cutting through the clutter without wasting a single second of the viewer's precious attention. Sticky means memorable, leaving an imprint on the viewer's mind long after they've scrolled past, making them think about it later. And sincere means authentic, resonating emotionally with genuine understanding and without pretense or fakeness. Instead of trying to cram every single feature or benefit into one single ad, which often results in an overwhelming and ultimately forgettable message focused on one big idea, what's the single most important message or emotion or problem you want your audience to take away? Center your entire ad around that one solitary, powerful concept.
One big idea. I like that. Keep it simple.
Exactly. And when it comes to leading with impact, those first few seconds are your prime real estate. They need to hit hard, start strong. You could use a surprising statistic to grab attention, or a clever twist that sparks immediate curiosity, or maybe a deeply relatable insight that makes your audience think, wow, they totally get me.
Mm.
The opening moments are just critical for establishing relevance and stopping that scroll. Make them count, and make them lead the viewer directly into your one big idea.
That's incredibly powerful advice, especially the one big idea concept. It really helps simplify what can feel like an overwhelmingly complex process, just distilling it down to its essence. But okay, to maintain that all-important sincerity you mentioned, what are some common pitfalls or maybe cliches we should absolutely avoid? Because there's so many ads out there that just scream generic. How do we prevent our own ads from just blending into that bland, forgettable background?
That's crucial. First, avoid cliches like the plague. Seriously, generic stock photos, the ones, smiling, diverse business people shaking hands, or overly used hollow corporate jargon that sounds like it came straight from Marketing 101. It just screams unoriginal and insincere. Instead, opt for authenticity, even if it's less polished, even if it looks a bit more raw. Real people connecting with real stories will always, always win.
Okay, ditch the stock photos. Got it.
Second, always choose clarity over cleverness. Always. While a clever twist or a witty slogan can be incredibly effective, don't sacrifice immediate understanding for a joke or maybe an obscure reference that only a few people will actually get. Your message needs to be immediately comprehensible to your target audience. If they have to work to understand it, you've already lost them. They're gone. And finally, and perhaps most importantly for sincerity, speak in the voice your audience already uses. This is key. Listen to how they talk about their problems, their aspirations, their daily lives, their hopes, their frustrations. If you can mimic their genuine language, their tone, their colloquialisms even, your ad will feel much more like a natural, empathetic conversation with a trusted friend than some sales pitch from a faceless company. It builds immediate rapport and trust.
Speak their language. Makes sense.
Think about Coca-Cola's Remove Labels campaign. That's a prime example of sincerity and profound impact. This campaign took actual Coke cans, but they cleverly removed the iconic branding, right? Replacing the famous red and white labels with these abstract, sort of minimalist designs. The message was subtle but incredibly powerful. It was about looking beyond superficial differences, transcending labels, fostering connection and understanding among people. It made a profound statement about unity without relying on a lengthy script or a hard sell or any aggressive tactics at all. Just a compelling visual, paired with a core human truth about shared humanity, made a global giant like Coca-Cola feel incredibly relatable, human, and deeply relevant in that moment. It didn't just sell soda, it sold an idea, an emotion, a sense of belonging. And that's why it stuck with people and resonated so deeply. It proved that sometimes less is truly more when it comes to sincere, memorable advertising.
Wow, yeah, I remember that campaign. Powerful stuff.
Ultimately, the overarching philosophy for sustained success in this crowded digital space is actually pretty simple. Don't just chase clicks, create genuine connection. Digital advertising isn't just about algorithms or click-through rates or conversion funnels, even though those things matter. At its very core, it's fundamentally about people. Behind every single impression your ad gets, there's a person, a human being, with emotions, aspirations, problems, and a desire to be inspired, maybe entertained, or simply understood. If you can tap into that human element, if you can make them feel something real, you're not just serving an ad, you're building a relationship, you're fostering trust, you're planting the seeds for long-term loyalty.
Okay, if we connect this to the bigger picture, especially for busy small businesses, maybe ones with limited resources, why is creating that kind of deep connection so much more powerful than just getting a click or a quick conversion in the long run? Because, a click feels tangible. It's an immediate interaction. A conversion is immediate ROI. You see the money come in. Why prioritize something that seems maybe more abstract, like connection, over those immediate measurable wins?
That's a fantastic, very practical question.
Yeah.
And it really gets to the heart of sustainable business growth, not just short-term gains. Look, a click or a quick conversion is undeniably a short-term win. And it's essential for immediate sales, of course. We all need to keep the lights on. But true, deep connection fosters something far more valuable and enduring. Brand loyalty, genuine advocacy, and consistent repeat business over time. When people feel authentically connected to your brand, when they trust you, when they feel understood by you, when they genuinely align with your values, they don't just buy your product once. They become repeat customers, often for years.
They stick around.
They stick around. And they transform into your brand's biggest cheerleaders. They start recommending you organically to friends and family through word of mouth, which is arguably the most powerful and cheapest form of marketing there is. They write glowing reviews, they engage positively with your content online, and they actively choose you over competitors, sometimes even if your price point might be slightly higher. Because they trust you, because they feel connected. In a crowded marketplace where options are limitless and competition is fierce, trust and connection are the ultimate differentiators. For small businesses, where every single customer matters immensely and your reputation is everything, cultivating those long-term relationships through genuine connection is far more sustainable and ultimately profitable than merely chasing fleeting clicks. It builds a vibrant community around your brand. And that, my friend, is an invaluable asset that just compounds over time. Hashtag tags tag practical example use case.
Okay, this has all been incredibly insightful. Seriously, really breaking down the strategy and the mindset shifts needed to make ads that actually resonate. But thinking practically now, for a busy entrepreneur, maybe someone like me who might have limited design skills or isn't exactly a tech wizard, how do they actually put all of this great stuff into practice without getting completely overwhelmed? This raises an important question. Where do they even begin to implement these powerful principles without needing to hire an entire marketing team they can't afford?
Right, and that's precisely where we aim to make it practical and accessible for everyone. Your next breakout campaign, applying all these principles we've discussed today, from strategic platform choice right through to emotional connection, it's truly already inside your Crespo AI dashboard. We've built Crespo AI precisely for busy entrepreneurs and small business owners like yourself to streamline this entire process, to remove the guesswork and the heavy lifting. Our prompt packs, for instance, are specifically designed to give you that burst of inspiration and structured guidance you need to launch smarter campaigns. Campaigns that people actually remember because they are crafted with these core principles: sharpness, stickiness, sincerity baked right in. Crespo AI's whole mission is to make automation simple, with no tech skills required, which means you don't need to be a marketing guru or a design expert to create powerful, memorable ads that generate real results for your business.
Okay, let's make this really concrete then. I love hypotheticals. They help me picture it. Let's imagine a small business owner. Let's call her Sarah. She sells handmade, sustainable products, maybe things like upcycled home decor, eco-friendly accessories, perhaps some organic skincare. She's incredibly passionate about her craft and the planet, right? But she feels completely overwhelmed by the complexities of digital marketing. Sound familiar? How would she specifically use Crespo AI's tools and the principles we've just discussed to really make her next ad campaign unforgettable?
Perfect example. Sarah's situation is so relatable for so many founders. For her, the very first step is that strategic platform selection we talked about. Given her eco-conscious, visually appealing products, she'd want to identify where her audience of environmentally aware consumers actually hangs out online. It's highly likely a visually driven platform like Instagram, maybe with some presence on TikTok for viral potential, places where her handcrafted items can really shine, and where value-driven content, like telling the story behind an upcycled material, truly resonates with the audience. Crespo AI's audience insight tools could help her analyze demographic and psychographic data to confirm these platforms are the right bet. It shows her where her ideal customers are most active and receptive. It provides that data-backed confidence.
Right. Okay. So she's confidently picked Instagram as her primary focus. Good start.
Yeah.
Now, how does she move beyond just showing like a pre-picture of her vase and actually craft a message that genuinely resonates with her audience's deeply held values? How does she connect on that emotional level we discussed?
Yeah, this is where Crespo AI's prompt packs become incredibly valuable for her. Instead of Sarah just struggling to write, buy my eco-friendly vase, which is informative, sure, but doesn't really evoke much emotion, she could use a prompt. Something like, generate Instagram ad copy focusing on the impact of conscious consumption. Or maybe brainstorm micro stories about sustainable living for Instagram Reels. The AI could then help her generate ideas for captivating storytelling content. For example, copy that focuses on the journey of an upcycled material may be transforming waste into beauty. Or copy highlighting the tangible positive impact of sustainable living choices. Her message would then highlight the why behind her products, speaking directly to her audience's desire for conscious consumption, for reducing their environmental footprint, for feeling genuinely good about their purchases. The AI can help her brainstorm copy that feels authentic, heartfelt, and totally native to an Instagram story or reel, sounding like a friend sharing a passion, not a corporation making a hard sell.
Ah, I see. So it helps her find the right words, the right angle. That's super helpful. And how would she incorporate an interactive element then to truly go beyond just passive viewing and get people engaged, maybe even contributing their thoughts?
Easy. Instead of just a static product shot with a standard Shop Now button, she could create an Instagram story ad that includes a poll. Super simple, super effective. For instance, the ad shows a beautiful upcycled piece she made, and then the poll asks something relevant, like, what's your biggest sustainability challenge when shopping for home decor? And the options could be A, finding truly unique items, B, knowing if it's genuinely eco-friendly, or C, affordability. This invites immediate, low-barrier engagement. It makes people stop and think for a second. Plus, it provides incredibly valuable real-time feedback for Sarah about her audience's actual pain points. And it makes the ad feel less like a sales pitch and much more like a conversation. Crespo AI could even help her generate variations of that poll question, ensuring they're engaging and directly relevant to her products and audience.
Okay, I can totally see how that works. Interactive and insightful.
Exactly. And critically, throughout this entire process, from brainstorming to execution, Crespo AI would help ensure the ad is concise, authentic, and ultimately leads to connection rather than just a quick one-off sale. It's about distilling that one big idea, Sarah's passion for beautiful, sustainable living, into a message that is sharp, sincere, and sticky. The aim isn't just to get someone to click shop now that one time. It's to make them feel something profound about supporting a business that aligns with their personal values, their desire for a better world, that authentic connection. That's what will turn them from a casual viewer into a loyal customer who returns again and again, and who tells all their friends about Sarah's amazing sustainable products. It helps build a real movement around her brand, not just a customer base. Hashtag tag outro. So just to reiterate the core message of this deep dive today, because it's so important, success in digital advertising isn't really about chasing algorithms or trying to game some complex system. It's fundamentally about connecting with people, real human beings. It's about understanding that behind every single screen, behind every impression your ad gets, there is a person. Someone with their own emotions, aspirations, problems, desires, that your product or service might just genuinely help her fulfill.
Right. And to quickly recap those main pillars for creating truly unforgettable ads that make those connections, it starts with strategic platform choice, showing up precisely where your audience actually is, and importantly, in the right mindset for that platform. Then it's about a deep, almost empathetic understanding of that audience, knowing who they are, what makes them tick, and frankly, how they scroll and interact online. Crucially, you need original, emotionally intelligent content that doesn't just break through the noise, but actually makes people feel something real. Couple that with interactive elements that invite engagement beyond just a passive view or a mere click. And finally, always remember to keep your message short, sticky, and profoundly sincere. Be authentic.
Yeah. And as you go out there now and craft your next campaign, whether it's your very first ad or maybe your 100th, I want to leave you with this provocative thought to maybe mull over. In a digital world that is absolutely screaming for attention from every corner, what is the one emotion you want your ad to evoke? The one feeling that will make your audience not just remember you, but fundamentally trust you?
Ooh, that's a truly powerful question to ponder. And it really changes the entire approach, doesn't it? Puts connection front and center. We really hope this deep dive has armed you with the insights, the practical steps, and maybe the inspiration you need to transform your digital advertising, moving it from just another line item expense into a powerful engine for genuine connection and sustainable growth. Take these concepts, apply them to your own business using tools like Crespo AI to make it easier, and watch as you start making not just impressions, but lasting, meaningful connections that build loyal communities. Go out there and make your ads unforgettable.